Today we reviewed Les Misérables, which is directed by Tom Hooper and starring Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe, and Anne Hathaway. It was released the 7th of December. The fact that we don't like musicals. So going into this, we were not very keen on the idea of watching a near 3-hour movie with just singing, which it totally is.
Yeah, there was no spoken dialogue.
I mean, there's the tiniest amount. But you know what? Okay, whatever. That's not a fault to the movie. We're just saying we're just saying that it's not our genre, really.
Yeah. So it was hard to enjoy.
Yeah,
for
but
me.
I enjoyed it actually. I just thought that, I should say, I enjoyed the first hour, and then I just got tired. Because to me, there was nothing in this movie that is pointless, per se, but rather it's like too much of, the same thing, kind of. Like they just elaborate on things way too much, and there'll be like a small scene, something small might happen, or like even if it's like a character revelation or whatever, it'll just be the longest song, and it would just have so many of them, I felt. And I just felt impatient sometimes watching it because I didn't necessarily enjoy all the songs. And I felt that some of them took way too long to just get a simple point across.
Right. And I mean, I feel like that's the point of musicals is to, people actually are supposed to enjoy all of the singing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, of course.
So I feel like that's one of those things where it's like,
But Hugh Jackman
seems excessive to people who don't like.
I thought Hugh Jackman was kind of a subpar singer. So to cast him as the lead, I thought was a little strange.
I thought Hugh Jackman did pretty well. I thought Russell Crowe could not sing all that well.
Really? I was the other way around.
He had like 3...
I was the other way around.
Like tones that he could sing.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
He had less range, but I liked his voice more, I think. Anne Hathaway's great. She did some great acting. She's not in the movie.
Anne Hathaway did really, really great acting.
Oh, and the cinematography in this film is beautiful. But it's interesting because the director likes to do a lot of sideways shots, like shot at a weird angle or whatever, and it's fine. But he does it constantly for almost every shot. He's just very, very persistent about that sideways camera angle. But there's some pretty great set pieces, I thought, in the sense that it literally felt like sometimes they were on a stage, but it felt intricately detailed, and the movie felt well made. Like they put money into this, is what it seemed like.
Well, you could a lot of the scenes, kind of felt like they were on a set, but that it was like very like finely made. Everything, like the costumes, the buildings, all the props, and I kind of like that it was theatrical in that sense, and that you felt like you were in a theater with live actors.
Just a large chunk of the movie to me just seemed to be taking too long. It was like it was suffering from the Hobbit syndrome, kind of.
Yeah.
I was like, there's definitely, you could cut like at least 20 minutes of footage from this, and it would just be an overall better experience, because for me, I wouldn't be feeling like I was sitting there waiting for it to wrap up, which is what it really started to feel like to me. It was starting to feel like a grind.
Yeah, I was definitely yawning by like the last 40 minutes. It's not the most like slow, boring movie. It was still interesting, but it just was taking so long. I didn't have to like hold a cup of water in my teeth. So if it fell, I'd be like, oh shit, like the fuck up. No, what I wanted to say is that I feel like this movie tried to be really powerful, not just sympathizing or empathizing with the characters, but also getting across these messages about freedom. Because like they spent an hour talking about this revolution, and then in the end, nothing comes of it. It's like it has the closing scene is a scene about like freedom. All the people who were the revolutionaries, waving flags and singing and shit.
Not to mention, like you said, when we got out of the movie, the character played by Eddie Redmayne was totally, his character arc made no sense, because by the end of the movie he kind of contradicted what he said.
All of his principles.
Yeah, but I think that's all we can say without spoiling anything. I don't know. I feel like that it's because it's a musical that more people just
forgive.
Don't notice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because a musical, I mean, it's not so much about necessarily the storytelling.
Yeah.
It's more about just like the emotion of it and the emotionality of
exactly.
the actors. And I think they did a really good job with that. But just being someone who doesn't, like a sappy, nonsensical ending, that pissed me off. Yeah, but I think when we get down to it, for what it is, for being a musical that, isn't focused so much on being realistic, I think there was a lot of really great acting.
Yeah, I agree. And great.
A lot of really good singing.
Yeah, good singing. Just a colorful palette, good cinematography. There's a lot. There's
very
a lot
well
to
made.
Yeah,
a lot to like about this movie. If you like musicals, you'll probably love this movie. Yeah. I mean, I didn't enjoy it, but I can see the movie and admit that it is very well made. So I'm gonna have to give it an 8 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5. It was just the fact that it seemed to be taking too long, and a movie shouldn't make you feel like, let's get on with it. Like, it should never do that. Like, you should be able to just enjoy the ride. But I was getting the sense that it was just taking too long to wrap up what was otherwise fairly simple when you think about it. The reason it took longer was just because they're singing everything.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but there's ways to work around it and make it a little more lean. So yeah, 7.5 for me.